It's about to go down. Now, what's your cash app in case somebody wants to donate?
Divine Feminine Works.
Okay. $.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Peace, 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 power and prosperity, everybody. Rob Blackstorm here. I have a special guest on the left of me, right of y'all. This Mel from Divine Feminine Work. Say hi, Mel. Talk to the people. See how's everything going.
What's up, everybody? How are you? I'm like so excited to be here. I'm such a big fan of Rob's, and when he asked me to be on his show, I was like super excited. So I'm really excited to be talking all about astrology today. So thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you. And thank you for coming, and thank you for accepting the invite. I'm a fan of your work as well. So I'm excited to share it with the world. And let's get started. So I guess the first question we should ask is, how did your spiritual journey start? How did you become Divine Feminine Works? How did you go from Mel to Divine Feminine Works? How did you get this astrological knowledge? What led you there? What, just tell us about your journey.
Well, it's a long one. So
you got time. You got some time.
To explain my spiritual journey would take a while, but long story short, I became conscious in 2012. And I had a good friend of mine. I'm an attorney by trade, and we're both attorneys, and we were working on a project. And I saw her, and I was just like, there was something about her that attracted me to her, not in a sexual way or anything like that, but there was it was a magnetism, and she just opened my mind to everything. She gave me my first set of tarot cards. She taught me about the law of attraction at that time. And then that just opened the door to everything else. I'm actually pretty spiritual. I come from a spiritual family. I'm Haitian, and, we're very spiritual, but the way that we practice spirituality now, it's always been a bit taboo. So we sort of had to keep it sort of under wraps, basically. And then, but once I had my spiritual awakening, I'm actually pretty spiritual. I come from a spiritual family. It was full steam ahead from there. So. And I've been walking the walk since then. It's not easy by any means. I've had to really shift a lot in my life. I actually lost a lot in my life. And, but when spirit calls, you have to answer. So that's pretty much. Was
there a significant moment after you learned and, well, you said your family was spiritual. So were they practicing? Because the channel we deal with all sorts of esoteric spirituality, cult, and things like that. Not just limited to just thinking positively, so to speak, or general spirituality. So were you already studying the occult, or were your family already in an occult type of circle, or were you just when you got the tarot cards, that's when you kind of explored a little more and just stuck with astrology?
I'd say in 2012 was when I started exploring more. My family doesn't necessarily practice any sort of organized religion,
Gotcha.
Necessarily an ATR. We're just very spiritual. We have dreams. Our intuition is very strong. We have a very strong spiritual team around us. And so we cultivate that relationship, but we don't do it in a very organized sort of way, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Yeah.
But I learned all of this after I had my spiritual awakening. So I learned about, more about my family and my ancestors. And, that's when my gifts really started to get very strong at that time. So I would say once 2012 hit, that's when things really opened up for me.
Yeah, 2012, the world was supposed to end in 2012. So that's an interesting time. You were basically preparing yourself for, to be carried off, right? So to speak, but we're still here. Looks like 2020 So it's really 2012. So I guess we should get into, we know today is a new moon in Capricorn. Yep. I know that it is Earth sign. It is ruled by Saturn. And I talked a lot last night about Saturn, about, becoming organized this year, having discipline, creating your own boundaries, creating your own structures, which is what this particular time is about. This is a super moon, I believe. So I know, and last night, I felt it. I was very heightened energy. It was really tough for me to even go to sleep last night. I didn't fall asleep until about 3 or 4. But yeah, and being that it is the new year, and we are in the sign of Capricorn, and the new moon is in Capricorn. Talk to the people a little bit about, what this looks like astrologically, how we could implement the new ideas, new year, new me. Everybody's trying to start something new, even though it's not the official new year. The real new year is on March 20th, 2022, the spring, when things are actually growing, when life is actually expanding. But this fiscal new year, where we are somewhat doing what the Joneses do, but we still have the energy of the new moon to start making our dreams a reality. So talk to us a little bit more about, the things we could do, your outlook, what you see in the stars, so forth and so on.
All right. So like you said, the new moon is going down in Capricorn, and the new moon phase, for most people who don't know, astrologically, it's when the sun and the moon are conjunct. So they're in the same sign, occupying the same degree. And so they're right next to each other. And new moons are great, not just because they're new beginnings, but it gives you full awareness of your ego and your subconscious at the same time, because that is what the sun and the moon are about. So that's why it's a new beginning, because you can start new because you're aware of sort of your external self and your internal self. And what's nice about this particular new moon is that it's going to be trine to Uranus and Taurus. So it's one of those very fortunate new moons, and you have to leave room for surprise and for spirit. I always feel that way when you're talking about Uranus, because Uranus is all about sudden changes. It's about things shifting. It's about flashes of insight and things like that. And being that it's trine the new moon, a trine is a very harmonious aspect. And that's an aspect of ease, an aspect of abundance, an aspect of good fortune. So don't be surprised if you get flashes of insight with this new moon. Being that it's in Taurus, you may have a new idea that's very different from what you've normally been thinking about, because Taurus is another earth sign. It's very rigid. It's very stubborn. So Taurus likes its comfort zone, and Uranus is all about pushing you out of your comfort zone. And so Uranus also rules Aquarius. And so Aquarius is all about novel ideas, futuristic thinking. That's why you may experience flashes of insight, beneficial communications with people that may allow you to have a new beginning. And being that this aspect is between two earth signs, Taurus and Capricorn, it has a lot to do with money, also money and structure. So if you have don't be surprised if you get $1 million idea, if someone tells you something very fortunate to invest in, Taurus rules the stock market and finances and things like that. So if you get any sort of tidbits of information at this new moon, you're going to want to implement it, because the good thing about Capricorn is that even though it's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn can be very rigid, but Saturn also crystallizes things. So everyone talks about New Year's resolutions. This is the moon that's going to help you make those stick. So it's not even just going to be just talking out your ass oh yeah, I want to lose weight. If you actually take the steps to do that today, you can really set up a new structure for you that's going to allow you to sustain it. So it's a very nice new moon. The energy is very intense. Like you said, I also had problems sleeping. I just felt I don't know if it was vibrations through my body, but I could feel the energy.
Yeah, it was heavy. It's heavy, thick, and I could feel it too. Yeah, heavy vibrations.
And my Sunday ritual is I go to the beach every Sunday and I just walk the beach, and the water was super powerful. The waves were very strong, and I'm yeah, that's sort of how this new moon feels. It's coming in with a bang, particularly with that trine to Uranus. So again, it's one of those new moons where you're going to want to set a new structure for yourself, think outside the box, and then take practical action steps in order to make that happen. That's basically the essence of this new moon.
Gotcha. So as far as thinking out the box, and when you said you would go to the beach, that made me think of something this year, being that it's 2022, The vibration is very feminine. So water, I think water this year is going to also be a very powerful medium to manifest, writing on your water bottles, speaking to water, speaking to liquid. Do you feel like that is also going to be like a big theme this year? Water and being by water, being around water. Excuse me.
Very much so. It's a 6 year, and six is the number associated with Venus, which is very interesting because this month in particular, Venus is like the major player in terms of the astrology. But there's going to be this undercurrent throughout the whole year of partnerships or things that are associated with Venus. So money, love, relationships, equality, things of those nature is definitely what this year is going to be about. And yes, Venus is a very feminine planet. 6 is a feminine number, and so that's definitely about water. It's definitely about emotions, your subconscious, and more so going within. I feel like definitely since 2012 there's been a shift. We've noticed a shift in this sort of in society with respect to the patriarchy and more feminine energy coming through. And that's that you're going to see a lot of that play out this year. And so it's not about taking direct action, being very expressive. It's about going within and attracting things to you. It's being what you want. Instead of trying to go out and get what you want, it's being what you want and having it attract to you. That's what we're learning as a society. And I think that's what this year is going to teach us in particular.
That's deep. So basically, we're becoming more magnetic. So whatever we put out into the universe will have a stronger resonance this year versus other years, or maybe 2020 or 2021. This year, I believe that what we think and what we are feeling will become more magnetic. So if we are thinking negatively, if we have a negative outlook on things, if we don't have faith in the things that we want or the things that we expect, those things will also manifest in this reality. And the other side of the coin is if you're positive things and the things that you desire and the things you want, we'll be able to attract those things much easier. So yeah, that is good. That's good to see. What do you see for the upcoming week, being that we have the springboard energy of Uranus, of Capricorn? What does this week look like in the stars and the cosmos? Talk to us a little bit about what we should expect, what we should look out for, any red flags, green flags, things like that we could kind of take into the week and kind of springboard going from Monday to next Saturday with our new goals, our new dreams, and our resolutions, so to speak.
Yep. So this is actually a pretty positive week in terms of the astrology. Apart from the new moon today, we have Mercury moving into Aquarius. And so Mercury is making its way towards Saturn in Aquarius. So just like I said before about how this new moon is all about setting new structures, Mercury is going to give you the mental sort of clarity and the wherewithal in order to do that. Mercury in Aquarius is all about thinking outside the box, very futuristic thinking. So apart from just setting intentions and working towards goals this week, you're actually going to want to probably take pen to paper and like write up a master plan. Like, put pen to paper and just get all your thoughts down and really think what you want. Like, don't think about what you want in terms of what you've already had. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. It doesn't matter even what's around you right now. Think about what you want your future to look like and start imagining. Mercury in Aquarius is really about like setting your imagination on fire, and your imagination is what helps you manifest. So you're definitely going to spend time, some quiet time alone, imagining and planning and doing all of those things. Mercury in Aquarius is also about communication, but it's also communication with people who may be different from you. People who have different viewpoints, people have different things to say. So you're sort of going to want to get out there and explore and sort of allow people to expand your mind this week also. Step
out of the comfort zone.
Exactly.
Yeah. I went on a kind of YouTube marathon yesterday, and I was doing a long lecture talking about kind of what you're talking about as far as this year is going to be really a year of connection, a year of us broadening, a year of us expanding our horizons and stepping out of the comfort zone, stepping out of the things that we're used to doing, and constantly challenging ourselves. Because though we can make the things that we want manifest easily, but the way we have to do that is the hard thing, is that's going to be stepping into new ways of being, stepping around and talking and communicating with people that may not look like us, may not speak like us, may not sound like us, but we have to find the commonality in ways that we can work with them.
Exactly.
Talk to us a little bit about Jupiter and Pisces. I've seen that a lot in the astrological circles. And what does that look like? How does that affect us? I know it's Jupiter is an expanding planet, and I understand that Pisces also deals with spirituality. And like you said, going within. So talk to us a little bit about what that looks like, how long that will last, and how it could help us become successful in this new year.
Mm-hmm. So if I had to sum up Jupiter and Pisces in one word, it would be, well, in a phrase, it would be spiritual awakening. Jupiter, like you said, it's an expanding planet. It's the largest planet in our solar system. So, on a physical level, that's what it does. On a spiritual level, it also expands. And Jupiter also represents faith and belief. And so when you have it in its home sign of Pisces, and Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac, the last water sign, so it's very intuitive, it's very psychic, it's also very spiritual. And so with Jupiter in its home sign of Pisces, it's all about spiritual awakening. You're going to see a lot more people become more conscious, a lot more people wake up, a lot more people get in touch with their spirituality. Like I said before, I started my spiritual journey back in 2012, and nobody was talking about this.
Nobody.
Like when I went on YouTube, even when I went on YouTube, you would see sprinklings of it, but it was something that I really had to learn by doing, right? Now, I feel like everyone talks about
everybody,
yeah. Everyone has a shaman. Everyone has an abuelita. Everybody has someone that they see or a ritual that they do. And that is only going to get bigger. Right. Like spirituality, and for better or for worse, right? I mean, I love it because everyone can sort of step out of the spiritual closet and really get in touch with themselves, get in touch with humanity, get in touch with their authentic selves, their ancestors. But you're also going to see a lot of charlatans, and you're going to see a lot of people who, they ain't really about that life because it's very trendy. Right. Neptune is a sign of spirituality. It's also a sign of deception. And so anytime you talk about Neptune, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because what you see may not be what's real. And so you're going to have a lot of people who are going to have that veneer of spirituality, and they're going to talk the talk, but they don't really walk the walk. So you're going to want to be very cognizant of who you follow, what you believe in. It's going to be really about knowing yourself first, and really diving deep into your subconscious and getting to understand who you are and all of that, because you can be got real easy with Jupiter in Neptune. So you really got to pay attention. But Jupiter just went into Neptune at the tail end of 2021, I believe, like last week, and it's going to last until May.
Right.
The majority of the year, everyone is going to be taking the red pill, and everyone's going to be talking about spirituality and really living that life. So it's going to last for a while, but it's really going to allow us to, like I said before, dive deep within ourselves, get in touch with our subconscious, our spirituality, our practices, our rituals. Like it's going to be a really nice time, but you just got to be careful.
Yeah. You got to be a critical thinker. You got to think for yourself.
Exactly.
At the beginning of 2022, because again, people are going to be looking to connect, like you said. So it's like you could connect with the wrong thing. You could be involved in the wrong group. You could be involved in the wrong circle, and that will even expand the ideas and the thinking, because Jupiter also rules philosophy and religion. Mm-hmm. So you could also expand, your personal philosophy depending on what you're taking in, and your personal religion. Your personal religion is basically your daily rituals, the things that you do, the way you live your life. That would be your religion, apart from the church or the temple. Your body is a temple, so it's the way that you live on a day-to-day basis. So this year is definitely going to be a year where you really have to take care and really think, You got to think, as Aretha would say, you can't just go into this year thinking that everything's going to magically happen without you being disciplined enough to see the forest for the trees, so to speak. Because there's going to, like you said, there's going to be a lot of persuasive personalities coming online. There's going to be a lot of good-looking people with the white and the greatest kufis and the greatest garments and all the jewelry. Yeah, they're going to be
aesthetic, looking good.
Exactly.
Yoga pants and shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
Mm-hmm. And they're really just trying to get as much money out of you as possible. You know?
It is, but there is something to be said for that. And
Yes.
it goes back to your spiritual walk. I know my spiritual walk, I had to meet Lucifer in order to get enlightened. And
Talk about that.
Oh.
Talk about that.
I'm actually writing a book on that right now, but I was involved with a spiritual person. My whole family was, who basically, they were not who they said that they were.
Mhm.
And they were a charlatan, and but they were very instrumental in my spiritual awakening, because Lucifer is the bringer of light, right?
Yes.
And so you have to go through darkness in order to find your light.
Right.
And I bring this up because, like I said, there may be a lot of charlatans, there may be a lot of, disingenuous people, but for some people, you are meant to walk that path. You are meant to find that person. You are meant to interact with that person, because that is where you find yourself.
Right.
And so that's why I say it's not for the faint of heart. This isn't just about lighting a candle every day and like doing yoga. That's not what this is at all. Like, this is like, when you really get into spirituality, you see yourself.
You see yourself. It's rough. It's facing the mirror, and the mirror is facing you back, and it's a constant 20. And the mirror's going to throw things at you if you're not on point. The mirror's going to throw life circumstances. Yeah, I tell people all the time that say, "Oh, I want to take this walk. I want to go on this. Is this something that is in your heart? Like, is this something that you're sincere about? Because it looks good. It feels like it feels good." But you're basically going through your whole childhood, through your whole adulthood, and reinventing yourself and reprogramming yourself and having a new outlook. And what I found in my own personal life is it's usually in relationships that I learned the most lessons. It's usually the people that I'm closest with, family members, relationships, where my biggest lessons are like my big relationship issues, my relationships that crash. Those are like my biggest spiritual lessons, where I've had the biggest spiritual growth. So yeah, you definitely that definitely makes sense. Would that tie in also to the Venus retrograde that is upon us right now, where we will be looking at love and re-examining love and things like that? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that Venus is retrograde right now with Jupiter in Pisces, because it's definitely having us reevaluate our relationships on a much deeper level. I can't necessarily say that I ascribe to this ideology now, but I used to, the whole twin flame thing.
Yeah, I don't believe in that either, but go ahead. Yeah, I don't believe in that.
I do not ascribe to it anymore, but I think that I went through it, but it's not, you don't go through it in the way that they show you on YouTube. It's not like you go through this and like, oh, I'm going to meet my husband and this is going to be great. And no, it was like the shittiest relationship I've ever been in. It shows you the ugliest parts of yourself.
Yes.
You come out a better person. So it's almost like a washing machine, right? You go through it and that shit is crazy, but you come out super clean. And you come out real, you know yourself. You know what you want, you know what you don't want, but it levels you up spiritually. And I feel like a lot of people are going to be experiencing that, particularly with Venus retrograde. And like I said, with Jupiter in Pisces. But this month is huge because not only is Venus retrograde, but Venus is also is going to be conjunct with the sun on January 18th. And it's called Cazimi. And that is one of the most fortunate aspects, because think of this, the sun is a huge fireball, right? When planets get too close to it, at a certain degree, they burn up. So their energy is completely wiped out by the sun because the sun sort of burns it out. Cazimi is that sweet spot where the planet is close enough to the sun to be energized and feel its warmth, but doesn't get burned out by it. And if you're talking about Venus, that's already a positive planet. January 8th is going to be the day that's going to be like the most romantic, I guess you can say, but more fortunate with relationships, even though it's retrograde. So for some people that may look like a new money opportunity that comes back around. It also could be an ex or something like that. I hate saying that shit because then everyone gets excited, like, oh my God, my ex is like, no, calm down. It may be like, yeah, they may come around, but you may not want them anymore.
You may not want them, right? Or there might be a headache.
But yes, this may be your ex come back, but this just may be a positive relationship that comes back around, and it's even better. Like, I know me, like, I'm very spiritual, I'm very intuitive, and things I need to know, I always get dreams about them. And I have a friendship that fell off 5 years ago. And lately I've been thinking like, I really want to reconnect with this person. We were very close. And I feel like that's because Venus is getting closer to the sun. And so you're going to find people that you may have fallen off with, or people, or maybe even new people that are beneficial to you, that are going to come into your life, that are going to get you to where you need to go, just be a beneficial person to have in your life. So that's something very good to look forward to. And that's on January 8th. That is on Saturday. Coming up.
So next Saturday. So is there anything that you would suggest that we would be able to do in I would say in a tangible or practical way, like maybe not light a candle, but anything that because I know you were saying with the Mercury coming up this week, it's great to write things down and plot things out. And it's funny because that's what I did this morning. Like basically on this new moon, I basically was just writing out plans and goals and structures and the way I want to structure my life and basically the boundaries I want to put in my ways of expressing and doing certain things, kind of being stricter with myself. Is there anything on the 8th that we could do to kind of, or that even you're doing that you could share that would kind of magnify that sweet spot for us? Because I know love is not just necessarily with people, we also love at things in our life. Like I'm sure, like you said, every Sunday you go to the beach. I would love to be able to go to the beach every Sunday, that's like amazing. But like things that loving the things that we want, people love their career, people love their family members, people love their dogs, and people have things that they want to love in the future, like future careers, future lovers, future romances. Is there any way or anything that you think we could do to amplify that sweet spot or that energy that you would suggest?
So you have to remember that Venus is retrograde. So even though you may have people that you want to connect with or people that may come back, this isn't a time for action. This is really a time of reflection and rethinking. And the word to sum it up is like self-love. This is going to be the time where you want to really get sure about yourself and show your self-love first. Because like I said, you have to be what you want to attract. What you want to have, you have to be it. And this can be the most beneficial person to you in the world, right? But if you're not right with yourself, if you don't love yourself, this person can come in and you're not going to be able to keep them. You're not going to be able to hold on to them. You're not going to be able to get the best out of the relationship because you're not your best self. So it's not so much about focusing on others. With this aspect, it's going to be focusing on you. So again, you might want to do some journaling. You might want to do some meditation. You might just really want to sit and think about, how do I feel about myself? What story, what narrative do I say about myself? How do I think about myself? What beliefs do I have with respect to myself? And get right with that. So that when Venus goes direct on the 29th, thereafter, now will be the time to take action. Especially because in February, around Valentine's Day, Venus and Mars are going to be conjunct in Capricorn. So that's when you're going to want to take action on those relationships. So now it's just about getting right with yourself.
So now it's basically just going within, looking at yourself, making sure that you fall in love with yourself, basically putting your crown on your own head and making sure that you're confident in your own glow, your own shine, and your own light, and making sure that you have that to give others. A lot of people want to be in these great, amazing relationships. And like you said, you could have already manifested your husband. You could have already manifested your wife, right? You could have already manifested your divine partner, but you may not have been ready. You may not have loved yourself enough to be able to hold that energy or contain that energy, or, give and receive, have that sacred energy exchange. So yeah, that is, I definitely concur with that. And I thank you for that. I think that is a great way for us to look at things. A lot of times we always want to do things on the external world, but a lot of times we don't take the time to reflect and look at ourselves and make sure we're not playing victim. Make sure that we really are doing the work to become better people so that we can attract better people, because we are the better people that we want to attract.
Exactly.
So that definitely makes sense. And let us look at, so what is your view on 2022? What does 2022 look like astrologically? I know you talked about the numbers, but what do you think is in store, like in the environment, in the world, outside of us, and what does the stars really say about what's going on? It's going to go on in the world in 2022, and what should we look out for?
So the big thing this year is that we've shifted the nodes. So the North Node and South Node just shifted, or they're about to shift. And so for the last 18 months, they've been in Gemini and Sagittarius. And Gemini and Sagittarius is all about what you know versus what you believe. Now that they're shifting into Taurus and Scorpio, it's going to be about money. Like money is going to be a huge thing for the next 18 months, basically. Because the eclipses are going to be happening in Taurus and Scorpio. We've already had the first one back in, I believe it was November. The November lunar eclipse, I believe, was in Taurus, right? I think.
I think you're correct. I believe you're correct. Mm-hmm.
And so this year, definitely all of the eclipses are happening, Taurus and Scorpio, and Taurus and Scorpio rule resources, whether it's your personal resources or whether it's your shared resources, things like mortgages, loans, joint bank accounts, things like that. So money is going to be a huge thing. And with the presence of not only the North Node in Taurus, but also Uranus in Taurus, Uranus is going to remain in Taurus for the year. It's all about like cryptocurrency. I feel like there are going to be many more types of, not even necessarily cryptocurrency, perhaps even something completely different than cryptocurrency, but it's going to be new ways of spending money.
Do you think that's going to, not to cut you off, but to cut you off, do you think that's going to, because I think that's going to change. I think you're right. I think like they're going to get rid of, I think the cashless society is going to be initiated this year. I really believe that they're going to get rid of the currency. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yep. And so there's going to be Taurus rules tangible things. So like products, things you can hold, you can touch. So you're going to see many more products become more digitized. NFTs are only going to skyrocket. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is all about art. It's about music. It's about all of those things. And with the presence of Uranus, NFTs, and probably even something different than NFTs, but something digitized, is also going to come online and be very big. I mean, technology is just going to become a very practical part of our lives with everything that we touch, everything that we do. And, for people who are not technologically savvy, this is going to be such a hard time for you. I was having this conversation with my mother, and my mother was like, she knows how to use computers, but she's not like, watching all of that shit. And so she's just like, and she said to me yesterday, she's like, this is only going to get worse. I'm like, yeah, it is, because, the astrology basically says that Uranus in Taurus is with the North Node in Taurus, you're not going to need to carry anything.
Yeah, it's going to be like that. That's what I think they're going to start doing the chips and all that. The RFID chips, whatever they're implanted. They already have people in Kansas that are working on it, and that they have test subjects that are actually chipped up and scanning themselves with registers and things like that. So that's coming. Neuralink. I know Elon Musk was saying that he was going to introduce Neuralink this year. Neuralink being the chip that they put in your head, so you'll be like Neo in the Matrix, where you'll be downloading karate, downloading how to play the piano, knowing how to do it. So it is you can't really stop technology. As they say, you can't stop the rain. I know Aquarius, we're in the age of Aquarius, so it's all about technological advancement, technological growth, new innovations, technology. And we really, those of us, we really need to have children. We really need to push their cognition of technology for them to understand how to use it, how to utilize it, and pushing them into STEM, in the direction of STEM, if that is their passion, of course, if they're passionate about it. But figuring out, because if you have a kid on the computer all day and they're on social media all day, you should be showing them how to use it to their benefit. And if your child has a different, and this is also getting to know your child, seeing what they're passionate about. Mel, what would you say to someone who says astrology is like BS, so to speak? Astrology doesn't work. It's pseudo. It's people say these things, and I have my own defense. But what would you say to someone who has that type of viewpoint and ideation?
Well, first, astrology is a science. I don't even consider it like a divination. Like, I also do readings that's completely separate from astrology. And then two, where have you been getting your information? Because again, you have a lot of people who are just like astrology memes and like, oh, sun sign. And not that any of that is wrong, but it barely scratches the surface of what astrology actually is. You know, people have, especially people who are in the church, especially people who tend to be Christian, they're like, oh, astrology. I had someone say to me, oh, so does that mean you like worship the sun? I was like, what? I'm like, it's science. Like, I do more math with astrology than anything else. But I said to them, you know, if you leave ice on the sidewalk on a sunny day, what's going to happen? It melts, right? Every planet has an energy, and all of that energy directly affects you. You go outside in the sun, you get darker, you get hot, right? That's the energy of the sun. That's all it is. It's not anything crazy.
Yeah, it's not anything crazy. Yeah. It's just like the crystals, how they have an energetic resonance in each one. You know, carnelian is different than amethyst. Amethyst is different than jade. Jade is different than, you know, malachite, et cetera, et cetera. It's the same thing. Each planet has its own resonance and its own frequency and its own gifts. And it's like you said, when you get out in the sun, you get darker, right? When you're out in the moon, it pulls the water from the tide. So if you have water in your body, what do you think is happening to you when there's a full moon out? Like, what do you think is happening to you when there's a new moon out? These things happening to the actual water, the body of Earth that you are on. So, yeah, I think I just wanted to point that out because that's something that a lot of people are saying. A lot of people talk about. They say, "Oh, this is pseudo," but yet they have cell phones with quartz crystals in them, and it's like and TVs with HD and 4K. Like, how do you think it's 4K? What do you think how do you think that's happening? There's a crystals in your TV. So I think that's very interesting. I don't know if you did it already, wanted to know if you would do a reading for us for 2022. I know you are a tarot king, queen pin. I respect your knowledge so much. That's why I wanted to have you on the channel. I definitely appreciate having you here. And the knowledge that you've gifted us. And I've learned a lot today. Like I said this yesterday in my live video. One of my main things this year is I want to learn more about astrology, really deep dive into it. You know, I'm good with like Orishas, other deities, things like that, going that way. But I have a surface level knowledge of astrology, but I really want to get deeper into it. So you actually being one of the first guests this year, or the first guest this year, is part of me springboarding that journey. So I appreciate that. But yeah, let's see what the tarot says about this year and what we're looking at. And give us some juju, man.
I also wanted to point out real quickly, even though this year is a lot about money, right? Like I said, with Taurus and Scorpio, there's also going to be a lot of repressed emotions coming up because Scorpio is all about deep emotions. And with the eclipses happening there, if you think people have been angry lately, a lot of that anger is going to come out even more this year because the eclipses are going to highlight everyone's repressed emotions. People are really going to be feeling things they haven't felt in a long time. And it's very important that as much as we're focusing on money and technological advances, that's also in direct conflict to our spirituality.
Yes.
It's almost going to be suppressed. So you definitely don't want to get lost in the sauce or caught up in the metaverse and not remember where you came from, not remember your spirituality, because that's going to be your saving grace this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I feel like this year is going to be a lot of changes, you know, being as that 6th year, there's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of things being given birth, 6 being a sex, you know. And just a lot of new, like you said, with the Uranus, it all makes sense where everything is just going to be not chaotic, but just a lot of new things and a lot of old feelings coming to the surface. And just in general, things that's going to be pushing us to grow. Just looking in the future, I really see 2023 as being like a year of war. So I think this year is going to be preparing us for that war year in 2023. And with the anger and all these things that you're talking that's coming up and the things that are suppressed, it makes sense because it's illuminating who we truly are so we can heal who we truly are and heal what we truly are so we can become the best version of ourselves to prepare for war. Because without war, there's no changes, right? So there's going to be some sort of war, even if it's just a war of the mind or a war of consciousness. I was saying that I believe that there's going to be an internet shutdown this year, where I think that they're going to shut down the internet for some time just so they can exercise control. And it's going to force a lot of people to look at themselves again, look at the way they see themselves, look at the way they interact with family, with friends. We're going to force them to become more social, right? You don't have the internet friends to rely on. You don't have the likes to rely on. You can't connect on Facebook. So you're going to have to come outside of your house, regardless of the Omarion or the Superman variant that they're going to come out with in 3 months, or the Wonder Woman variant, you know, in June. You're going to have to step out of your house at some point and enjoy life and see life. And like you said, go by a beach or sit by a pond or walk in nature and reflect and take some time to think about where you want to go and what's your purpose and how you are working towards that purpose and moving towards that purpose. So go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
And you are spot on. So you do know astrology on a deep level.
I am, so the way, just real quick, so the way I look, like a lot of things just come to me, right? I'm very intuitive. I'm very in touch. I've always been in touch with my inner nature. And I've always been, I'm a bit clairvoyant, clairsentient, right? Well, not a bit, very clairvoyant and clairsentient. So a lot of things just come to me. So teaching, I don't want to say it is a challenge, but sometimes teaching people the way to get this information is challenging because a lot of it just comes to me. And I can't even just say through dreams. It just comes to me through random thoughts. But I am always in nature. I am always meditating. I am always praying. And I also analyze the challenges that come into my life. Like I try not to victim. I used to be the biggest victim. Oh my God. I used to be the biggest. Oh, it's the government. Oh, it's her. Oh, it's my mom. Oh, it's my pops. Oh, it was the job. Then once I started looking at me, that's when the challenges really came, because it's like, oh shit, it's really just on me. Like I'm responsible for everything in my life. Like I own everything in my life. Like I can't blame anybody else. So that was a little bit of depressing time. I think that was more, I would say that was 2017, my Saturn return. It was very, very critical time for my growth. But once I started really like putting, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to set certain parameters. I'm going to start working with the moon and doing rituals and working with my ancestors and communicating and creating a stronger bond. A lot more things came to me. And then I became clairaudient. So a lot more things started getting told to me. Mm-hmm. So I always try to tell people to become the magic, you know, that you want to be. Become the magic. Don't rely on the orishas. Don't rely on your candles. Don't rely on the crystals. Rely on learning yourself, critiquing yourself, refining yourself, and looking at things and realizing how you cause the effects in your life.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But yeah, you're spot on, because in 2023, the nodes are going to move into Aries and Libra, and that is war versus peace. So you're absolutely right. It's coming. It's coming. Yeah. But yeah, so let's get a message for this year and see what Spirit has to say for this year. Okay. All right. So there's a lot of quiet time that people need. Again, like we spoke about before, this isn't a year necessarily of taking action. This is about being who you want to be and attracting what you want and being more observant and being more quiet. That's very hard for some people, for a lot of people, because of technology. You're always stuck on your phone. You always feel like you have to do this, that, and the third. So this year, you're really going to have to almost fight the urge to want to do and to want to act and to want to go out and get. This is about being. And there's going to be a lot of messages that we receive, but on a very subconscious level. So if you're really stuck in your ego, if you're really looking for everything outside of yourself, you're going to miss everything that you're supposed to be learning, that you're supposed to be taught, that you're supposed to know. So it's about being quiet. It's about observing and just letting things happen. I think that a lot of times, not even a lot of times, we're conditioned to not believe in our own power. We're conditioned to not believe that we are gods and we are the gods of our reality. And so we're always looking for things external. We always feel like, it's like on the one hand, we don't realize our power, but on the other hand, we feel like we have to do everything to make things happen. All God had to do was speak, and the world was created. And that's exactly what we can do. And that's exactly what you have to step into this year. You have to step into your God self. You have to step into your power, which is not external
at all.
And it's not a show of power either.
At
And it's
all.
wielding power over others. It's about finding the power within yourself and just being. And by
Yeah.
doing that, that's how you're going to attract everything that you want. That's how you're going to know the things. Because I feel like, especially with Jupiter and Neptune, a lot of people are going to be like, I want that knowledge. Like you were saying, like, it's hard to teach it because it's really a lesson on trusting your intuition. And I can't teach you that. You have to do that yourself. And so a lot of people are going to be like, I want this spiritual knowledge. I want to know how to do this. I want to know how to do that. You really need to just shut up, sit down and listen.
Yeah. Trust your gut. I talked about that last night. Like, get in touch with trusting your gut. Like, if you don't trust your gut now, practice it. Ask yourself the questions that you want, the deep questions that you ask people on YouTube, the deep questions that you're asking people on the internet. Ask them to yourself about yourself. What is my purpose? What is my journey? Why am I here? If you ask it long enough, your gut is going to tell you. Your intuition is going to tell you. You're going to meet people that are going to tell you. It's going to happen, quote unquote, magically. The luck is on your side. It always is. You just have to, basically, the same way you turn the radio dial to 98.7 KISS FM and it has that signal, you just have to turn the dial to get to that signal. And so you could get the frequency and you could get the downloads and you could get the understanding and the wisdom and the knowledge. But you have to tune the dial. If you just think you're going to listen to lectures, me, anybody, and you're just going to you're going to get the knowledge, like you said, on an external level that way through books and reading a ton of books and stuff like that. No, power is effortless. Force is something different. Force is you lighting the candles. Force is you doing the rituals. Force is you getting the crystals. Force is you taking the spirit baths, right? You're trying to put something and make something happen. But power, it's effortless, right? If Jeff Bezos walks in the room, he doesn't have to say he's Jeff Bezos. You see him, you know he has power, you know what's up, right? Back, 50 Cent, Diddy walks in the room. You already know what's up. There's no need for him to say, I'm Diddy. There's no need for him to flash his money. You already feel the power. So that's the type of energy that we have to come with, knowing that we already are powerful, know that we already have crowns on our head. We are kings, we are queens, we are divine beings, and acting as if, and questioning yourself most of all, taking the time, as Mel was saying, to reflect, to look at yourself, to look at your life, be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Don't think that you're this type of person, but you don't have friends, right? You're a good person, but you don't have friends in the outside world. Nobody likes you in the outside world. People don't want to be around you. Your life continues to crumble. Things keep falling apart. Things never manifest the way you want to manifest. You have to make some changes. You have to make some adjustments. There has to be some things that you do that are outside of your comfort zone to make your life better. And it may be discipline, not maybe, it will be some things that are going to require discipline, that are going to require structure, that are going to require you creating boundaries. Maybe you're trying to do something. Maybe the Friday and Saturday of clubbing every weekend, maybe you got to chill, bro. Maybe you got to put the video games down every day and work on your business or work on your book or work on whatever you're trying to do outside of your regular job, right? So I think these things are very important and definitely a good outlook for the new year for you to get the things that you want and live the life that you want, but most importantly, to connect with the divine within.
Yes. This is going to be a year. I don't know if you can see this card. This is the death card.
Okay.
A lot of death this year.
I'm
not talking about the Roni. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about deaths. Like I said, Jupiter and Neptune is all about spiritual awakening. And so whether you like it or not, a lot of people are going to be ascending, but understand that ascension is an ego death that has to die first. And it's almost like you have to dive headfirst into your subconscious. You have to dive headfirst into your very being, your very essence. A lot of people are going to be forced to do shadow work. A lot of people are going to confront their real selves right now. And it's going to be scary as fuck for some people. Some people are going to be really uncomfortable. Some people are going to be very confused, very it's going to be a battle between like your subconscious and your ego. And it's very important that you do not let your ego win, because all of the knowledge, all of the things that you want already lie within you. They're not things that you have to externally get. You have it already. But if you're not tapped into that, you're never going to get them. You're never going to realize that. You're never going to realize your spiritual path, your real purpose for being here, you know? And so a lot of people are really going to be experiencing that. And one thing that Spirit is saying is that you really have to change your subconscious and change your subconscious programming, and then your thoughts will change. It's not the other way around. So you can't think all these positive things and all of these affirmations and all of that if your subconscious is still running an old program. That's like you trying to run a program now on a computer from 1995. Like, that shit don't work. It's not gonna work. You have to do the subconscious deprogramming, and you have to do it yourself. No one can do it for you. You can watch as many videos as you want to. You can talk to as many people or read books, but you only learn to swim by diving in. You can read a book about swimming all you want, but until you actually get in the water, you're never going to learn to swim. And that's what's happening this year. A lot of people are going to be learning to swim. And so it's a wonderful time to be alive, but it's also going to be really intense. And not just that, one thing I forgot to mention that was important about this year is that the US is going to experience its Pluto return.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that. Talk about that. Yeah.
Like, shit is about to get so real. Like, we are going to see, I honestly think that in the next coming years, we're going to see the US crumble as a world superpower.
Definitely.
I think that we are falling under the weight of our own ego, of our own disgusting narrative that we have. The underbelly of the United States is disgusting.
Yes,
and that's what people are going to see. Like, Pluto unearths everything. Imagine a graveyard being unearthed and all of the bodies and all of that. That's exactly what a Pluto return is. And the US is going through that right now. Actually, in February, that's when it's going to start.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I heard that's going to be a really, really crazy year for America, and you're going to really see like the darkness and the ugliness of America. Yeah,
I mean, it's like, yeah, we've been seeing it, but we're going to
Pluto death transformation. You know, I'm a Scorpio, so I'm very familiar with Pluto. Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, it's going to be one of those years. Definitely.
Oh, buckle up, because whether you want to or not, like, everyone's going to be transforming and everyone's going to be ascending. And also know that even though I said there isn't going to be, I wasn't talking about physical death, there is going to be some of that, because in a spiritual sense, a lot of people aren't going to be able to handle the frequency with which we're ascending. The earth itself is also ascending to a higher elevation, a higher frequency. Yes. And a lot of people are just not built for that, or they did not sign up for it.
Right.
Their contract was like, oh, it's 2022. Yeah, I'm gonna head out right now because I didn't sign up for this.
Those are the NPCs, the non-playable characters. And then you're
Exactly. So you're going to see it's going to be intense either way. But all of this is happening to bring us to a better place, a better world, and better individuals also. So it's going to be a rough couple of years. This isn't something that's going to happen or even play out remotely just within 2022. And I believe that the shift, particularly with Pluto, is lasting until 2025 or 2026. And that's when the new Earth is really
starts to emerge.
Yeah.
2026 is when the new Earth is going to start. Like that's going to be the infancy, basically, of the new Earth. Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely going to be, but with those of you who are born here, those of you who are listening to things like this, you're built for this type of time. You're born for this type of time. You're born to be the light in this type of time. So make sure that you are shining your light and not radiating your light. But like Mel was saying, not radiating ego. Like, this is not about you saying you're the God just because you have melanin, or you're divine just because you read a couple of books. Like, really feel that and feel what that means. And that really means to be empathetic. This is really a time where you should be sharing your gifts. You should be sharing parts of yourself. You should be open to learning new things. This is the time to be a leader and also a soldier, right? This is the time to be a teacher and also a student, right? It's a two year. So you have to look at the balance of anything. This is not a binary type of year where, if you're still caught up in, white man's this, or the black man's this, or this government's this, or this person's this, you're still caught up in looking at these things in this sort of diametric polar opposite way, instead of realizing that both things, whether you like or dislike, are here to work for your favor. anything that happens is here for your favor and your benefit. You just have to be in tune with the universe and in tune with nature and in tune with the divine and the ancestors that you have within you that are here to guide you, that are in your DNA. You have to find ways to tune yourself to those frequencies so that you are able to get the alley-oop, so to speak. You are able to get the foresight and the insight to know how to survive. 2020, I'm sure, Mel, I've been rocking with you for a minute. I didn't see you, falling off in as far as to 2020 or anything like that. I've seen you thriving during the pandemic, 2019, thriving. I see you continue to do well. And I think those of us that are on this path, I haven't really seen us getting rocked by anything significant. While a lot of people that aren't on this path, you see what's happening, where they're falling apart, relationships are falling apart, life is falling apart. It's not to say that they're bad people, but we do get those of us that are in tune and that are sincere. And if you are sincere about this path, you're going to get warning signs. You're going to get help. You're going to get assistance, no matter how bad it looks, no matter how crazy they say things they are. Have faith, know that you will be well as long as you are following the path and the path of your journey. Mm-hmm. Mel, anything else you want to tell the people before we get out of here?
That's pretty much it. Just stay the course. I mean, if you're just starting this journey, like you said, don't get rocked, don't get sidetracked, because there's going to be everything in your path to sidetrack you. And if you're already on this journey, just keep going. Just keep going. It never truly stops, though. Like, no. I don't want people to think that, okay, I'm starting in 2022, so by 2023, I'm gonna be good.
Yeah, you're gonna be a master. Nah, this is a lifetime journey. Yeah, it's always something. There's always gonna be something. It's a lifetime journey. Like, people think, like I always say, people were like, oh, this person become ascended master, or they're this person that is like on the highest, this guru. I'm like, the guru goes through hardships too. You just don't see it. They don't talk about it. But the guru, the teacher, the priest, the prophet, I mean, look at, basically in Christianity, look at the life of Jesus, just using that as a metaphor, right? You're going to go through hard times in life. But the key is you're going to have the gift of light. Again, if you're walking in the light, you're going to have the light. So the light is going to give you a bird's eye view of everything that's going on. Sometimes even before it happens. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to say sometimes. Most of the time, 99.9, I can say this from my life, 99.9, you're going to be predicted. I told y'all, those of you who followed me, before the pandemic, my diet was like, yo, you got to change your diet. You're being bullshit. 2019, January 2020, I shifted my diet. I started, and this is before I knew a pandemic was coming. My spirit was just telling me, yo, shift the diet. You was eating a lot of bullshit. Shift. And then the next thing that happened, boom, March 2020, we got hit in the pandemic. So you will be prepared for certain things to happen. And you may not even understand why. You just have to listen to your intuition. It'll always tell you, it'll always prepare you, as long as you are walking in the light, shining your light, and willing to give your light to others. With that being said, we're almost at the 1 hour mark, Mel. I do have your Cash App in there if you want to donate to Mel. Tell the people where they could find you, where they could locate you, the services you could provide, and how they could get those.
So you can visit my website, Divine Feminine Works. I've got horoscopes, monthly and weeklies. I do astrology reports, all types of astrology reports. I do intuitive readings, and all of that can be found on my site, divinefeminineworks.com. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Divine Feminine Works. If you're a Twitter person, on Twitter at Divine Fem Works. But yeah, And
give them the Cash App. Give them the Cash App one more time. Just when they watch the replay, they can get that. Just in case they want to donate.
Thank you. All right. It's $ Divine Feminine Works.
Very easy, very simple. Mel, Miss Divine Feminine Works, I'm honored to have you. I am grateful to have you. Thank you so much for giving me your time. Thank you so much for giving the people your time and the people that follow me. I know you said your channel, right? I know you have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. Again, it's Divine Feminine Works. Everything is Divine Feminine Works.
Everything's Divine Feminine Works, so they can find you on YouTube. Also, go subscribe to Mel's channel. Go follow her on Instagram. Follow her on social. She's very dope. very insightful. As you see, she knows exactly what she's talking about. She's not trying to play you. She understands the game of life, and she will give you the gifts that you need to get through life. I want to share something real quick before you go, Mel. Just some insight that we could give the people a little bit about what this year is going to look like. I was looking at the book of Revelations. Let me just make sure I still have it up. I was looking at the book of Revelations. Hold on. Get up out of here. Do I still have it? Yes. So you can see this right now?
Yep.
Okay, so Revelation 22:2, right? And I've kind of been looking at Revelations recently, kind of starting last week. That's kind of gained some insight. We are living in the book of Revelations, whether you guys know it or not. I know they told you to throw away the Bible because you became woke and you learned about Jesus and things like that. But the Bible is really a very powerful book of magic and mysticism if you know what to look for to get, if you are in tune. So one of the ways you're going to be able to really navigate through these years, all the changes, all the ups and downs, Revelation 22:2. Okay, we're looking at this as a book of prophecy and getting the insight. We're not going to count the zeros, right? Because there's only one zero, and the zero is just source energy, which is what we're made of. So anything that comes out of the zero means it's dealing with the physical. So 22:2. So it says in the midst. So let's just start from the beginning. 22, as he showed me a pure water, river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and the Lamb. All right. But let's literally focus on 2. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits. Okay. There's 12 months in a year. So which bear 12 manner of fruits, and yielding her fruit each month. All right. So the tree of life is basically, you could consider that your spine. You could consider that your spiritual tree of life, the Kabbalah within, right? I talked about that last night. I'm not going to go into that deep here, but you could talk your own tree of life, your spinal column, which channels your energy, your kundalini, your chi, right? Which bear 12 manner of fruits and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for healing of the nations. So what this looks like to me, Mel, is this is talking about astrology. You following your chart, you understanding your astrological chart, you looking at it, you understanding these different transits. Am I off, or do I sound crazy, or does that make sense to you?
No, that's exactly. As soon as I saw 12 manner of fruits, I was like, yep, that's it.
Yeah, that's the zodiac right there. That's the zodiac, you know.
Just like
and
the
you
12 disciples.
And just like the 12 disciples, yeah. So I picked that out today because, you know, today's church day. So I think, you know, with this, you'll be able to get some insight. And yeah, this is going to be a year where you got to be up on these transits. You got to be up on when the moon's in this, when the sun's in this, the solstices, the equinoxes. You got to be tuned in and tapped into these energies and utilize them correctly. And Mel is going to be one of these people that's going to help you. I'm going to be one of these people to guide you. And you have the information at your fingertips. Is what are you going to do with it? You know, are you going to use it, or are you just going to use it to satisfy your ego so that you can sound better than your friends and be smarter than your friends? Or are you going to use it for yourself, to develop yourself and really live the life that you want, the life that you dream about, so that you don't have to reincarnate back on this earth? You know, you go into the stars and live as a star, which is the goal. All right. With that said, Mel, again, thank you. I appreciate you. I honor you. Thank you for your time. And to all of y'all out there, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and go to Mel's channel, tap in with her. And with that said, peace, power, and prosperity, all y'all. One love.
Take care.